incorrect. Override denied. Your password is incorrect. Override denied. Program activated.
Hello and welcome to another Username Nerd podcast. My name is Mike Hewitt, and with me always I have Tim Hewitt.
Hello.
And you go ahead and continue on from here.
Today we have some guests. We have
Chris.
Say your name, and then we also have...
you don't. You introduce them.
Every
Holy
time I get this
cow.
wrong. Every time I get this wrong.
And that's when you introduce yourself.
We also have
sure
Christopher
this is how it happened
Pauly.
last time as well.
Christopher Pauly, a.k.a. the Paulster, and Larry Davis, a.k.a. Lair Bear, on the podcast
Wow.
with us.
Wow,
Bringing
okay.
it back.
Yeah, awesome.
Bringing it back,
Lair
Larry.
Bear.
No, they can stay gone.
Hey, Michael. So I heard that your boss
Oh my gosh. This is
rented
done.
a theater
No, seriously, this is not what happened.
and took everybody in the company to go see Deadpool opening
10 of us
night.
went to go see Deadpool.
I want to work for this company.
For lunch.
How do you get on the list of the 10 people that went?
Well, it's just...
Or the people that turned it down?
It was my idea. Because we went on lunch to go see Star Wars, and I said, why don't we do this every month or every other month? And so that's what happened.
or every
Yeah.
day.
And so that's what happened. We started, and I don't know. I wasn't in charge of it. It was my idea. Someone else came up with the idea, and I just tagged along.
Nice.
And it was ended up 10 of us, and it was a lot of fun. So we're talking about Deadpool today.
Yes, we are.
This is the worst.
Who cares? We've all given up on
Oh
this
my
anyway. It's all fine.
Just going the hippie.
So I'm going ahead and take this
slide
over.
right in intro.
So yes, and so you guys just got back from seeing it. So what?
Yes.
Correct.
First of all, real quick, what did you guys think? I haven't got to talk to you at all about it.
I loved it. It was great.
It was very good.
Yeah.
And so it's been a couple days for me. What's today? Monday? Oh my gosh. So 4 days.
Yeah.
And so it's not as fresh in my mind. Do you have anything up for this, or are you just...
Actually, I made notes
Oh.
and left them at home. So...
Wait, what, did you make them after the show?
No,
after the
well,
movie?
Polly was like, you
Or
didn't put them on
before
your
the movie.
iPad or on your iPhone? I'm like, no, actually, you used regular pen and paper.
So archaic.
I had to get out the quill and dip it in ink and scribe it down. But
Do you
on
also
my
send
notes...
messages via carrier pigeon?
Yes, yeah. I should just... in fact, it'll be here in about 3 hours.
Oh, perfect.
The pigeon's coming. No, I took notes on basically just Deadpool history and Deadpool, like fan arguments and stuff like that. But I want to talk about the movie first. So what did you guys think of? Was it funny enough?
Was it funny enough?
Was it funny enough?
Non-stop one-liners.
But I mean,
Yes.
I really felt like, and I should start by saying also I don't know that much about Deadpool, especially going into this. I know a lot more now than I did when I started, but I was never really a Deadpool fan.
Really?
I mean, I just never really, there's only so much time in the day, and I didn't have enough time to.
I'm
Only
totally
so much
moving this,
nerddom.
sorry.
Oh, great! It's ruined the podcast.
You've already ruined it.
Did you get a glass of water,
Much,
Michael?
much better.
glass of
That
water?
is, but that is definitely Deadpool. They got
Yeah.
that aspect of Deadpool right from the comics. Now everything else they didn't, but that doesn't really
Really?
matter.
What do you mean? Okay, well, what else? What else
Does anyone else know more? Have you guys really read the comics, or just a fan?
I've read them here and there.
Yeah.
I've never stuck with it, but
Definitely the way his origin story, that is not his origin story.
I did
His
hear-
origin
yeah, I did
is
hear that.
definitely the Weapon X program, and he got his stuff from Wolverine and
Yeah.
stuff along those lines.
Well,
and
but
other
didn't
things.
he? It was accurate in the way that he was tested on until basically he died, and then they thought he was dead and kind of threw him away,
Mm-hmm.
and then he regenerated and realized he couldn't die, and yada yada.
but they kind of
he didn't like burn the place
they
down.
kind
though,
of
when he
did
left,
something
did he?
differently. No, they just kind of did a different take of it. Like, it was no other mutants. They they
Oh, I see what
did
you're
it
saying,
until
yeah.
they got him to mutate. That's not
Yeah.
how it was. It was a kind of
That
a
was
process.
a little weird.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was a little bit different than the.
They covered it a little bit with the super serum kind of thing that they were using. So you could kind of say they stole powers, put it into the serum, and then gave it to him.
Yeah, but they didn't really explain it. They're just like, here, take this. We're going to poke and prod until you change.
Right, until you change.
Well, that's what I thought they did. Is they gave him the healing factor, and then they poke and prodded him until
No, they kind of took
he died.
the.
Is what I thought. They thought he was dead, and then he.
Well, that was not. But that was not the healing. That serum
factor.
was.
Oh, okay,
it was
gotcha.
not. I mean, it was. They
Gotcha.
they said, okay, we're taking this person. They were trying to build super
Yeah.
soldiers, so
Okay,
they got.
now I understand.
So they got Wolverine. They took it from Wolverine. Then they got this person. It was more like. It was the worst of the best X-Men movies. What was that? Wolverine Origins. Which I still like. It's the worst of them, but I still like it.
Which
Well,
is where
no.
Deadpool.
But it
first-
was exactly.
comes in.
Well, see, at least in Origins, they took a mutant and experimented on him. In this one, they
Yes.
said that everyone's a mutant, and we're going to activate latent genes.
Yes, exactly. So that was very interesting thing of it. I like Alfred. She was great. She was perfect.
Alfred.
Blind Alfred.
Batman's butler? Oh, okay. Blind
The old
Sorry.
woman.
I was like, wait a minute.
Blind Al. Did they say Alfred?
I don't think they said Alfred.
But they said Al.
Sure.
Yeah, they called her Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name's Alfred. They call her. I think they might have shortened that because it's a very weird. Blind
Yeah.
Alfred as a woman is just a weird
Yeah, Alfred's
kind of
not
thing.
really a chick's name.
Yeah, so
So-
that was I think I noticed that a little bit, but I couldn't tell if they had done it anyways. She was very well done. Weasel is a kind of a combination of two different people.
What's
in
Weasel, the bartender then?
the
Bartender, yeah.
Yeah, because Weasel gives him like tech that lets him teleport and stuff like that in
Yes,
the comic
text
books,
that
right?
makes
so,
it lets him teleport.
so that's totally not
Mhm.
the guy that we saw in the movie.
And there was a guy that ran that bar, and so they kind of combine those two together.
interesting.
But other than that, that is Deadpool. The way he talks, the way he,
Oh yeah, I think they definitely.
And that
nailed
origin
the-
story of him having cancer is, a very good one.
The only thing the only thing I think they could have done more of was breaking the fourth wall. Like I know they did it a lot, and they no
They did it a lot.
They did it a lot.
And I know, like, they even made the joke of, I'm breaking the fourth wall in the fourth wall, and yada,
Right.
yada, yada. But I just feel like I really...
How much more could they
Spoilers.
break?
Maybe,
those?
no, hang on. Maybe not that they didn't do enough of it, but maybe that they could have done it in some more original way.
I mean,
whatever.
The first fight
Forget
scene on
you
the
guys,
bridge,
I mean.
he's talking to you, and he's like,
Ugh.
the guy responds, and he's like, I wasn't talking to you, you know.
I'm not saying it
I
wasn't
mean,
bad.
come on.
I'm not saying it wasn't bad.
Okay.
I'm just saying that...
You
What
wanted it
about-
to be in different ways,
Maybe-
other
yeah.
than just turning at the camera
Yeah,
and talking
yeah.
directly
What
to
about-
the audience.
Well, he broke the fourth wall in a bunch of different ways. One of the ways he broke the fourth wall is when Colossus grabs him and says, "We're going back to the, after the other guy leaves."
Yeah.
And he
Right.
and he cuts his own wrist off. He's like, "We're going back to the institute." And he's like, "What are you gonna let me? Who am I gonna see? Is it Sir Patrick Stewart or is
Yes.
it like McCoy?
Yes,
What was it,
yes.
McCoy?
Okay, you're right. Those were good.
McAvoy.
McAvoy, and he was like,
Yeah.
"I can never keep with all this time travel stuff." And so I thought that was hilarious.
He cuts off his hand and his hand's giving him the finger.
Yes, and so that was a great fourth wall break and stuff along those lines.
So, what did you think of the X-Men in this movie?
What do you mean?
What did you think? Colossus and what's her name? Boom Firestick Girl, whatever her name is. What's her name?
I
Does
like
anyone
Boom.
know her name?
I like Boom Firestick Girl.
Is
now.
that her name? That can't be her real name.
Negasonic Teenage.
Yes, Negasonic
Warhead or whatever?
TX Warhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of her before.
No,
ever.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Oh, that's the beauty of the X-Men. You can just create one.
And that's very
you
true.
know.
And that's literally like let's just draw a name out of a hat and
Well,
give him power to match.
No, I mean, but isn't that what Stan Lee said the X-Men were for him? Was an excuse to be able to create, obviously characters that he couldn't use in any other universe.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what did you guys think of Colossus?
Amazing.
Loved Colossus.
I would have liked to have seen him transform. Go
True.
from normal.
Yeah,
to
he was never-
Colossus.
True.
He was always just full Colossus all the time. He was
Mm-hmm.
never like just a dude.
yeah.
But still, it was a very different take than like the liquid metal skin Colossus that you saw in the X-Men movies. Like, I liked the fact that it was like plated. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That was cool.
The
well,
one of the
it
movies
was-
was plated.
One
as
of the
well.
movies, it was just like
No, he was plated.
liquid metal, right?
No,
but
he was
it was
plated.
He was a lot shinier. He was like chrome in the original movies, whereas like now he has that dulled kind of steel look to him.
He's much
I always
bigger
get
too.
Colossus and
Gigantic.
T-1000 mixed up a lot, so you know.
Well, in the other movies, he had that kind of T-1000 sheen to him.
Yeah.
though.
And you would see him change, and it was like ching 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 ching
Yeah.
ching.
That's
Where
true.
this
I
was,
do remember that.
Yeah, this
Where
one
he was
was
just
not at all.
Colossus all the time.
And he was a more realistic Colossus, where this was
Yeah.
not. This guy was
He was
huge.
gigantic,
He was like
Which
a
is
tank.
awesome, though.
But they also played into that. The first time you see him, he's holding, the little spoon trying to eat cereal and, drinking out of the looks
Yes.
like a tiny baby cup.
Well, and it helps that they put him next to a tiny teenage girl for
True.
most of the movie
True,
too.
true,
Right.
Yeah.
So was Colossus ever not able to change back at any point in time? Does anybody know?
No. He
He's
was
Not that I
always been
know
able
of.
to turn it on and off.
right.
Let's be honest. If you were Colossus, would you ever turn it off? I would just stay metal all the time. That's awesome.
I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't he used to turn it off when they were fighting like Doctor Doom and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there are
because he
certain
was
things.
very susceptible to.
Yeah, Magneto.
Oh,
he
yeah,
turns
that's
it off
true.
for
That's
Magneto
true.
as well,
Yeah.
and stuff along those lines.
Well, you
But,
gotta do what you gotta do. What about the villains? The main Doctor. I don't know. It didn't strike. You know, we're the
Ajax?
only one saying anything.
Just say his name.
You guys suck.
I'm cracking up
No.
because I'm just thinking Ajax.
Yeah.
Ajax. That's your name off of soap.
I know.
Francis. His mutant power was like super sharp reflexes, right?
Well, he was
didn't
kind of.
have strength.
He
had
doesn't
increased
feel
reflexes.
anything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel
so
anything.
he doesn't feel anything emotionally and physically, so he can be hurt. He does not heal as much as fast as the other one.
But he had super strength too in the movie.
Did he?
because
Yeah, I
yes.
was gonna
he
say.
bent over like a 4-inch piece of
Yes.
rebar with
Yeah.
one arm.
he was almost like kind of like Wolverine, but not with that. First of all, he doesn't feel pain and not as fast healing powers as Wolverine, but kind of, yeah. So he has a very kind of generalistic everyone else's powers. The other girl was just, they kind of
Yeah, the
had
other
very
girl that-
general powers of some
Yeah.
sorts.
Of like super strength or whatever, the villain girl. And then I thought that it was kind of in such a crude, like absolutely off the wall movie. It was kind of a cool moment when like Colossus is fighting that other girl and her boob falls out.
I know.
And he's like, oh,
He's very
I know.
polite about it.
covers
Like,
it
well,
with his hands, like,
miss.
oh, you need
and then
to.
she just shakes the. Yeah,
But I
totally
thought
takes
that was like a
advantage of it.
good contrast. Like if ever there was a contrast to the absolute crudeness of the Deadpool
Right.
movie, that was a good like, you know.
Yeah.
Her
That was
reaction.
pretty
Oh,
good.
you're very nice, very polite about that. Whack.
But yeah, it's the jokes were hilarious.
Yeah,
And
it
Nonstop.
definitely made me laugh.
yes, and that's in the comics. The jokes are just nonstop, but they are very dated. I went back and read a few, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are just so dated.
Yeah.
From 20 years ago, they don't hold up as much as they used to. And actually, in the movie, his jokes were kind of dated as well. Did you kind of
How's
notice
that?
that?
Well, he was constantly going with the
Right.
Voltron.
Yes, I
and-
know.
Okay, yeah,
it was
okay.
it was 80s. It was 90s, 80s jokes, and not current
Yeah.
jokes, I guess.
He cracked a couple of current jokes.
True, he
though.
does. Yeah. It wasn't blatantly obvious, but yeah, there was a little bit to it.
Nah, there's one that sticks out that it was blatantly obvious. It was a current joke.
Okay,
The subway joke.
You recall it? What was the
Subway joke.
Where he saw Agent Smith or whatever he was calling him. And he said, I'm going to send you to jail like Jared from Subway or whatever. he
Oh,
said.
really? I did not
I
catch
didn't
that
catch
joke
that
at
either,
all.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
there's so many. It's
I was
worth a
like,
rewatch
wow.
just to
Yeah,
listen to
true,
them all.
true.
Yeah,
Did
it
you
went.
stay through the credits?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was
That's
a
pretty
couple.
good.
There was a couple other things, and I don't know if you guys know a lot about the war between Sony, Fox, and Marvel. Do you guys
Yeah.
know about that?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you see
The
anything in?
epic war.
Did you see anything in this movie that would?
Helicarrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the thing. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" They just slammed that in their face because I don't think they're allowed to use that at all.
No.
It looks very similar to a certain agency's helicarrier.
Well, and
Yes.
but honestly, because it's wreckage, it looks like it could have just been an air. That's how they're getting away with it. It could have just been a regular aircraft carrier
No,
Except
that
for the
somehow
giant-
got a giant hole punch through it
and giant
and then
turbines.
lifted into the air and placed on ground. I didn't see turbines.
yeah,
There was-
there was
turbines.
gigantic turbines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right behind the main control,
Yes.
there was.
Oh,
there
I
was
see. I didn't even
turbines.
see the turbines, so that makes sense.
Those huge turbines. I was like, because they're not. Fox is not allowed to use anything with that, and
Correct.
Marvel plays by the rules because Marvel is not allowed to use the word mutant at all.
They're winning.
Right. Well, and they're
Oh no, they're not.
They're circumventing that by creating the Inhumans now. They're not calling them mutants.
Right.
They're Inhumans,
Yes.
all of them.
Well, but they also skirt the telepath, knowledge and certain powers that we know exist in the X-Men universe. They're saying that they don't exist exclusively to dodge
Yes.
those characters.
Right.
And the other thing he mentioned Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah, that was pretty clever
Yeah.
at the end.
What
Were you
What do you
expecting
expect
Sam
Samuel
Jackson
Jackson
Yes.
to
pop
be in
out?
here
That's
with an
right.
eye patch?
Yes,
and
yes.
Shiny leather suit.
Yeah, so I thought that was very
So some of the things and if we want to keep talking about the movie, we can jump back to. But some of the things I've read or researched about Deadpool leading up to it is his speech bubbles in the comics are all yellow,
yes.
which didn't used to be that way. It was like a lime green to begin with, and then they tried a whole bunch of other colors, but then they stuck with yellow, and it's only his speech bubbles too, which I think kind of adds like almost an accent to what you're reading in your head. Like when you read his speech bubbles,
adds a
almost
little bit of
throw
flair
like
to that character.
yeah.
That character
It makes
stands
it
out
pop
when
a
he's
little bit.
talking.
You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool.
There's
And
a couple
then-
other characters that have that as well.
Name them now.
Black Hole is all black.
That doesn't work. The
What?
letters are black and the background's black. It's just all black.
No,
black
it's
bubble,
white.
white
It's
lettering.
white lettering.
Okay, that makes
It's
more
all
sense.
black. It's black on black.
I was like, wait a minute. He's
You
a really
just have
quiet
to try
guy.
and interpret what he says.
You have to like hold it up to the light and for the sheen.
We use
so you can
black
see the-
lights to expose the
There
letters.
we go.
It
So it's
takes-
even more black. So
It's forever to read.
black
but
on
yes.
black with black.
Do you know of any other?
Well, no, not now. I'm not gonna say anymore.
No, come on.
Nope, I'm
Throw it
done.
out there. Black hole. It's the only one.
I can't. Yeah, there's a few other ones. I know some of the ones have the way the bubbles are shaped and
Oh, that's
stuff
true.
along those
Yeah.
lines. Yeah,
I think you watched.
definitely the Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse. There's a lot of them that are different like that. But yeah.
Yeah, because Tony Stark's are like all squared
Mm-hmm.
to give it sort of like a
Well, and
robotic voice.
they also try and change up the type for
Yeah, that's
the
right.
lettering for certain characters.
Yeah, because
as well.
Thor's
Right.
was very like elegant writing to
Right.
make it like ye olde I'm Thory kind of.
Oh, I thought it was
Right.
like Norris.
Nordic?
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of like what do you call
Runes
those?
or whatever.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
runes things.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing, it's funny that you mentioned Deadpool being a mutant. Somebody mentioned that, didn't they? At some point in time.
Okay. You talking
Well,
here or in
either
the
way.
movie?
I mean, like during this podcast, but sure.
Well, no,
Has he
in the
been drinking?
movie he
movie.
wasn't a
I know.
mutant.
In the movie, he was not a mutant, right? And so that's the thing is he's. There's been this big argument of
Oh,
is
he's
Deadpool,
not a mutant in the
is
movie?
Deadpool a mutant or not a mutant?
Well, he wasn't to start with. He was turned
Correct.
into one.
In order to be a
Right.
mutant, you have to be born with that mutant gene. Okay, so then there's this whole argument of is he a mutant or isn't he a mutant? And some people are saying that
Well-
since he was born with a very aggressive cancer that is outside of the normal human genome, that cancer is his mutation.
Well, I
The
mean,
healing factor given to him has to work extra hard because his cancer
To
is so
offset
aggressive,
it.
it's constantly killing and rebuilding
well,
cells.
it's the Wolverine conundrum with the adamantium bones. His
Right.
healing factor is trying to eject the adamantium, so his healing factor is trying to eject a cancer.
Well,
so
but-
it's supercharged.
But actually, his healing factor is supposed to be working harder than Wolverine's even, because the like such an aggressive cancer. In fact, there was one comment, and if I had my notes, I would cite it because I wrote down the thing, but I don't. There's one comic book where this guy captures him, and like and pulls the healing factor out of his body and tries to inject it into a bunch of super soldiers. And Deadpool's like, I don't even have to fight him because you don't know that I have cancer. That's the reason my healing factor doesn't go crazy. And so the super soldiers that were injected with it eventually exploded because their body just keeps replicating cells faster than, they're dying or
Right.
whatever because they don't have cancer. So they just explode. And, like,
They didn't
pop
have
like
anything to
balloons.
offset the.
So
healing
I mean,
factor.
that's one of the things where they were talking about his cancer is well above what any normal human genome would.
well, you also don't
produce.
think that being, subjected to a healing factor mixed with cancer adapts generally, and moves and
Possibly.
spreads. That the healing factor is not amplifying the cancer, so that over time he may continue to get more and more and more powerful.
Well, so is he a mutant or isn't he a mutant?
I think he is a mutant.
I think he was latent
Because mutants are all about evolving. And they,
but in
we
the
have been
X-Men-
evolving.
in the
But
X-Men
most
universe,
mutations set in during the teenage
puberty,
years.
Puberty.
yeah.
Puberty.
Right.
And you were born with that X genome.
But did he not evolve into a mutant or no?
No, he was in
He
the
was
same way that
given-
Spider-Man got bitten by a radioactive spider and got his powers. He was injected his powers through science versus
Versus being
being born and
Sure.
mutating into it.
Sure.
So I don't know. In the video I watched too, they had two different definitions, like mutant and mutated.
And I've always
or
thought
something
the
like
Marvel
that, but-
world was very weird. That we have Xavier's group that everyone just hates and yells and screams at mutants, but then they're totally fine with Spider-Man and all the other people that are Norse god. They're totally like, yay,
Well, but
Spider-Man, we
Spider-Man-
love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man hides a lot of his abilities behind his technology too, because he doesn't naturally swing from webs and
depending on which
universe you go to. Don't even
He
bring
did
up
for a
the-
little while.
If you want to play by the rules,
But I mean, he has the suit and stuff, and he doesn't wear his mutation on the surface as bad.
True, but okay, Iron Man. I mean, all these superheroes. It seems like there's a group of the whole world's fine with and are happy for, and then there's the mutants they hate. And I'm like, there's not much difference in these. You got the Hulk.
yeah,
I mean,
I've
Right.
always
Well, there's
thought
a
that
serious
was kind
love-hate
of a-
relationship with the Hulk
True,
because they
true,
love him
true.
when he defeats the bad guy, but the U.S. military has been chasing him his entire life.
True. I'm trying to
He
think
just
of a good
destroys
example.
cities and stuff.
Well, and it comes down to that kind of Civil War type mentality where, like, we like the ones that help us and save us. I don't like the ones that I don't know about and are afraid of.
True.
But it's more than just hero and villain.
Right.
Like there are anti-heroes or even good mutants
Well,
that
and
people are still afraid
even in
of.
X-Men, Beast had that same thing because he attempted in several times
you do
to
have your
be
water.
be a public face for the X-Men, and he was
Yeah.
always accepted in some circles and denied in other circles. Because he was a well-spoken, intelligent,
Yeah,
monster.
but he was scary.
True.
That's the thing. He's a well-spoken, intelligent monster. That was your nickname in high school, Larry. That's crazy.
Yes, but they actually.
Only leave out the well-spoken and intelligent. It was just monster.
I don't know. But I mean, they actually built Sentinels. I mean, you don't see Sentinels running around killing
Spider-Man. Yeah,
or
I agree.
anything else. And the DC world, everything's separate. They reboot. There's all these different things. Marvel is supposed to be forever and all the same and all.
Yeah,
one
but they do
world.
alternate universes too.
Yeah, but didn't
True.
they just go through a reboot, though, where they closed everything? They did the Secret Wars, and then now they're kind of rebooting a lot of the characters, though.
Yes, but it's supposed to always be. Marvel's supposed to never be like DC, where there's the New 52 and they reboot everything. But
Well-
it's a hard world to live in.
So real fast to go back to the difference. Then I think that the obvious difference is that some of them were born with these powers versus Spider-Man, Hulk, all these people. Even Captain America, who are science has created them. Okay.
Correct.
And I think the reason maybe people are scared of mutants versus the others is there are mutants have that ability hidden in them. You never know. Like of us four, one of us could be a mutant and you wouldn't even know it. And yada yada yada. And also, aren't there a lot more mutants than there are normal superheroes in the Marvel universe? I mean,
Yes.
there are like hundreds and hundreds of.
And I go to the Batman Superman theory where you got Superman here, this creepy that can do everything. So
creepy
we got
man.
we got Larry over here, and
Well, you assimilate
Yes.
creepy and then
No,
point at
no,
me.
no,
Yeah, creepy old
I'm
Larry
just
over here.
saying. I'm
you
just
can take
saying.
that one of two ways.
You
Larry.
have
He either just called you creepy or he just called you Superman.
exactly. No, I'm calling you neither. I'm saying,
Yes,
let's
I'm
say
okay
if
with
you're
that.
a mutant, you have this like one offshoot power, like I don't know,
Throw ice out of your eyes.
yeah, your fingers can extend longer, or
It's
I don't know,
extremely
or some just
painful.
weird,
My fingernails grow extremely fast.
like
You
you
just turned
can
into Meg from
like
Family Guy.
you can blow snot rockets that are really rockets. I mean, you have this
Ooh.
one
Done.
little power
Done.
Let me see.
that I just
Snot
lost.
rockets are a little power.
Gotcha. So, did you lose your headphones?
Yeah, I lost everything. That's fine.
Well, I hope we're still recording.
We're all good. Okay,
But you have one specialized power versus
right. Instead of
scientific.
like Superman, who has all these different powers
Okay.
are like Thor. So keep it out of the DC realm. You got Thor, which everybody loves, dude, which can, is freaking, technically a god, and they're more scared of the guy who can blow snot rockets than the person who can crush a whole planet.
It's because Thor is a figure from mythology. You grew up hearing about Thor, but the guy that blows snot rockets that are actually rockets could be your next door neighbor, could be your daughter,
I
could
think
be your
that's
son.
There's only one Thor. There could be 5 Snot Rocket Larrys out there just lurking in the shadows,
Each
ready
with
to
a different
close
personality.
me down. I don't like that.
Okay, you guys are all crazy, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's right. Okay, I'm just trying to put.
Well, and with the
some
higher
sort of-
percentage of mutants, there's a higher exposure to the evil ones.
Yeah,
so more people have
yeah.
seen the evil ones, especially when Magneto puts together a band and goes and ransacks something.
Magneto
you
puts
know.
together a band. Is it called Heavy Metal? And they just
God.
toured the United States.
Oh man.
It's called Death Metal.
But I think the exposure of mutants is just so much higher.
At the end of every concert,
Wow.
he just brings the entire
Sorry,
stadium
Larry.
down on all the.
Because mutants live in the world they go to, but Thor goes back to Asgard. Captain America goes back to train with the Avengers.
Spider-Man goes back to being stupid old Peter
Well,
Parker.
yeah, but Spider-Man's
Spider-Man
always
goes back to
been
the Bronx.
a vigilante. He doesn't usually cause mass destruction on a citywide scale. He does on
Just a
occasion. but-
vigilante.
Vigilante.
Where Snot Rocket guy is just trying to be an accountant.
Snot Rocket
I
guy.
didn't want to blow snot rockets. I just want to account.
Local
do my
Blow up the
accounting.
wall, I just
Local
had a
man blew
cold.
up his accounting firm today when he sneezed. All right.
Oh man.
Let's veer off of that for just a second. Everybody knows. I'm assuming everybody knows, and I'm gonna say it anyway. Who Deadpool's DC Universe counter is,
Yes.
Yeah.
and which would be
Slade Wilson.
Yes.
Wade
Wilson and
right?
Slade
Deathlock?
Wilson, huh?
Deathlock.
That was Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. You're right. Sorry.
Deathstroke, Deathlock is somebody different.
That is something different.
Yes,
but
it is.
Slade Wilson,
He
Wade
locks the
Wilson,
death.
all the similarities and yada yada yada. Also, the creator of Deadpool. There were 2 creators actually, and they get to talking back and forth. I have all these notes that I don't have. It's like
They
crap.
have to try and
I did a
remember off the top
lot
of
of
his
prep
head.
for this show. But the 2 creators were talking back and forth,
You
and
just
basically
didn't prep it to the car.
Yeah, I know. Even figures. One of them was like, this is just a copy of Deathstroke, and he's like, yeah, pretty much. But that was the only time they really ever admitted it to each other. From then on out, they've always just kind of denied it, even though it's so blatantly in your face a copy. They were just kind of like, no, it's whatever. It's not.
Well, I mean,
not.
yeah, Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson
Yeah.
is a pretty.
So then you get to. I watched another video that was about who would win in a fight, Slade Wilson or Wade Wilson.
Well, and I apologize because my exposure to Slade Wilson is simply from the TV show
Arrow.
Arrow.
Exactly.
So
That's all
It's
mine is.
pretty
But
close.
Was he ever as smart mouth cocky as
No.
Deadpool?
No, he's very serious, but he,
was always
does
a-
have healing factor. He is
He
a,
had the
a trained
opposite kind of
mercenary.
personality
Yeah,
from Slade Wilson.
He always struck me as more dark
Wade
and
Wilson
broody.
from Wade Wilson, opposite from Wade Wilson.
Well, no. But I'm saying Deadpool had that opposite
Oh,
personality
yes, sorry,
from
yeah.
Slade
Right.
Wilson.
But so it goes into all these factors of while Slade Wilson does have healing factor, it's not nearly as good as Wade Wilson Deadpool's. That's gonna get really confusing back and forth from these. But
That's why he used
also,
the superhero name.
Both of them are still very confusing. Deathstroke,
Death
Deadpool.
Wilson, Slade.
So Deathstroke's armor actually has a healing factor, which I thought was kind of cool. Like his armor supposedly will repair and heal itself, which is odd. You don't see that very often,
no.
right? And then
They didn't have the teleporting in there at all, which
yeah, I was kind of sad about that too.
Well, I kind of
'Cause
feel
Deadpool
like
could have teleported everywhere. Which
Well, I
was kind
thought
of
you were
cool,
going to
but
get it when he jumped off the helicarrier there. When everything was going, I thought he was
Right.
going to drop the container and teleport. And
I feel
get
like
it, but
At that point in the movie, if they hadn't used it
It was-
yet,
yeah.
that kind of sucks for them to just like pull it out like Hail Mary.
well, no, I thought
Here
they were
we
going to
go.
pull it out as like the big bad guy can't beat him, but
Yeah.
instantly teleport, cut his head off, same kind of thing. That's what I was hoping for.
But I mean, he ends up being a good guy. I mean, he always does the right thing, and that they did that really well at the very beginning, with him trying to help and with stalkers and stuff like that. I thought that was very interesting.
I'm not here for you. I'm here for you, Peter.
I know. That's great.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, but going back to the Deadpool Deathstroke fight, right?
Okay.
There's a comic. It's not a actual comic. It's a trade book that came out called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Have you guys heard of it? Where literally it just pits him up against every single...
Yeah, they did a Punisher version of that too.
Kind of the same thing, yeah. Well, he kills Wolverine in the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe trade back because he creates a sword. Because that's one of the Deadpool things that's kind of unique is he has sort of a cartoony feel, so he can just produce things out of thin air. In the comic books, obviously, not in the movie. They didn't really touch on that, but... He produces basically out of thin air a blade that negates the healing factor, and that's how he kills Wolverine. What? I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I've heard of this sword.
I know.
Okay.
It's like
he
a special metal.
Pulls a
and he just kind of
rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah, he just literally is like, oh, and just pulls out this sword that negates the healing factor, and that's how he kills Wolverine. And in the fight,
he would have come across that sword at some point in time because that's the sword the Silver Samurai has, is something to negate his healing.
Really?
Wolverine had it made specifically, like if I ever went off the deep end and no one can stop me, I want something.
Like
I want someone to
Superman
have
giving
something.
Batman
And
kryptonite.
they touched
yes.
on it on the last Wolverine movie when they
Kind
had
of.
the fake Silver Samurai that was just atrocious, the adamantium swords that the big robot at the end was carrying.
Yeah.
They kind
It
of
was that same
hinted at it.
premise, but it wasn't like an adamantium sword that got heated up because you put two hands on it instead of one, which
Right.
was weird.
Ridiculous.
That is the one thing X-Men are is my favorite series of all time, but the movies are not close to anything.
The movies went. The problem is
And
right
they're
at the
not-
get-go.
They're not.
They're not cohesive.
They're not
at all.
cohesive at all.
They're not at all. But I think at the get-go they went too far. Like I don't think the audience is going to get like why these guys are wearing these goofy outfits. So
Right.
let's put them all in like leather
Oh, yeah, yeah.
suits. I think they went too far that way, and they're just now slowly trying to bring it back.
They definitely, the last couple have been some of their bests.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really liked the second one, X2, but
Oh, the Nightcrawler seems great.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that the one where
Fantastic.
Wolverine literally just like stabs that guy?
Oh my gosh,
with
yeah.
milk or in his hand or something like that. No, I'm thinking Terminator 2 again, but he
No,
just
no,
stabs
that-
that guy.
no,
He's
that
like,
was-
"Oh, it's here."
I remember watching that because the first one was so tame
Yeah.
that the second one, when they raid that house and he just goes berserk and kills all these
Yeah.
guys, I'm like, oh my gosh. And
The
it
dude
kind
through
of
the
changed
foot.
stuff because that was so early in the superhero movies that it did a lot. But then Days of Future Past, man, just is blew it all out of the
Yeah.
water. I mean, they finally got to a point where, let's go really look at the source material, really follow it through, and not be afraid of what the
And
audience
that's when you
can
start
take.
seeing them dialing it back to the originals, and that's where you can really bring it back and feel the weird costumes and everything. It's like because we pulled an alternate universe, kind of like they
Right.
did with the new Star Trek movies. You really
Yes.
feel the snap, and then now we're really where we need to be.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And the kicker that gets me is like there was and I'm upset that they didn't put it in there, but there's an outtake from the newer Wolverine movie, the last one, where she hands him the suit, and you see him open up the box, and the mask is in there, the gloves are in there, and it's that classic kind of gold and brown. It's the Wolverine
Good
suit.
old Wolverine suit.
Oh wow, I never saw that outtake.
Yeah, I have not seen that.
And
either.
I've seen it somewhere.
It's one of those
Really?
things they put it in there, and then they're like, "We still don't think it's right, so we're still going to cut it." So
Really?
it was right there at that kind of
Yeah.
tipping point where, like, all right, superhero movies are okay when you put them in their ridiculous suits.
Yeah, interesting.
Who is the most ridiculous? Who's had the most ridiculous suit in any universe of any superhero
Quilt
you've
Man.
ever seen? Quiltman's up there.
Quilt Man.
You know what? I think you just trumped all of whatever else I would say because that's pretty.
If they could ever put Quilt Man on the
Yeah.
screen, I've heard that so many times.
Gosh,
So many
it's
people, I've
awful.
heard so many writers be like, if we could just put Quilt Man on the screen, that's the golden thing everyone's trying to do,
I'm trying
and
to
pull
also
it off.
Think of another, but I'm
When
thinking
you think
of
about it, they're all ridiculous. You've got a guy dressed in
True.
a giant bat suit. There's Superman who used to wear his underwear on the outside. They all wore their underwear on the outside.
now. I watched a video on that, and basically it was derivative. It doesn't make it any more less
Right.
corny, but yeah, It had a root.
Go
in
ahead.
actuality.
It had a root, but still, they're all ridiculous.
Yeah. You're
But
right. Quiltman tops him, though.
they had to be ridiculous to make them all unique characters for a comic book. So you knew who you were looking at when you saw that character.
Oh, that was the other thing where the creator of Deadpool hated drawing faces. So that's why Deadpool wore a mask like all the time.
Really?
Because he's like, it's so hard to draw faces.
Yeah.
He's like,
What did you guys think of his mask? I loved his mask.
Oh,
and
I
the
loved
eyes.
his mask.
That was just.
It was the way it needed it to be. It
Yeah.
showed a lot of expression,
Yeah.
even
Exactly.
though it's
I don't know
clear that they did CG with it.
Yes.
The red
Yeah.
part of the mask was there. The black part of the mask that was most of the time put in later via CG.
Yeah, the eyes were definitely
The eyes
an
were-
add-on.
Yes, because I'm like, there's no way. I wanted him
Yeah, you
to.
wouldn't be
I
able
was
to
like,
see
there's no
anything.
way you can explain how he's making the eyes work like that
Right.
in a mask. But
I also
didn't care.
really liked how it like bushed up at the back. Like
Yeah.
it was like a stocking cap sort of loose
Well, and
fit
his
that's-
while
mask has
still
always
being-
looked that way.
Yeah.
And I've always
So
kind of
sort of,
liked that.
Well, that's why I liked the
Kind of
progression
sloppy
when he
look.
was trying on the different suits and
Yeah.
Yeah.
the white to the red. It made him, because that's something like they never touch in the Spider-Mans too much. He's like, he built his
Yeah.
first suits, himself.
Well, they did that. I
They
remember
did a little
distinctly
bit of
in the
Yeah, but his progression was always, it went straight from,
It
I'm going to
was
wear a
quick.
sweatshirt
Sweatpants
to
yeah.
a super advanced nano
true.
suit thing.
Exactly. Yeah, they
that
went
I've
quick on
sewn
that.
myself.
Yeah.
Yes, they
that
jumped
was really
quick
advanced
on that.
for.
Which, if I can
a
deter
high
here for a
schooler?
little bit, that's what I'm really excited about the new Civil War stuff, is because you're going to get to see Peter
you get to see
Parker,
Spider-Man.
and then immediately you're going to get to see Iron Spider. I hope.
Do you know how much money they paid Sony to get Spider-Man? It's ridiculous amounts.
but
it wasn't worth it.
I think it's going to be worth it.
Oh, I think it's gonna be worth it too. Spider-Man has pulled more money than I think any. I think they're still the top.
I'm still
they not?
upset though because I'm one of those few people that actually rather liked Andrew Garfield. I liked him as Spider-Man. I liked him more than Tobey Maguire.
I did too.
Tobey
Who's Andrew
Maguire
Garfield, the second one?
almost
The second
ruined
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I
Spider-Man
liked him.
to me.
And the third movie did.
Sam Raimi ruined Spider-Man for me. And then
Sam Raimi.
he was the director of the first 3 movies.
Oh, for the first 3.
Correct.
It was the second movie of the Amazing Spider-Man. He really got in his groove,
He got into that very kind of
and it
smart
got
aleck
really
and-
good. I mean, I agree with you. He's a much better than Tobey Maguire. Much better than Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I agree
Definitely.
with that.
And that third movie is just horrendous.
Yeah.
And
But
starts
the
hanging out
second
in jazz clubs.
I mean, it is better. It is
Spider-Man.
better than Batman and Robin, but not by much.
Not by
as
much.
everyone knows, the seedy underground of the criminal enterprise, jazz clubs.
I know. Oh my gosh. Anyways, how do we get there? Well, go ahead, Paul. I feel like
Spider-Man. You were saying something about Spider-Man's suit.
Well, no, not the suit. I was talking about I like the fact that Marvel has gotten Spider-Man in the new movies now.
Yes.
I don't like that they've replaced Andrew Garfield, but I don't
Oh,
like
I
it
see.
because I haven't seen the new kid.
Who's playing him in the new one? Does anybody know?
Don't know.
I
Some
don't
kid.
think they've released it yet. have
They-
they?
Spoilers.
They've shown who is playing Spider-Man. They
Yeah, I think
don't-
I've seen
Spoilers,
It
it's
was
me.
like it was like 10 guys. They went through 10 people, and
They
I
went
remember
through-
them picking them.
They
I
went through quite a few
squeeze
people.
into a little spandex suit. It's great.
I'm
gonna be awesome.
scarred for life.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Dude,
Spider-Man's not.
You should
Deadpool.
go. You should cosplay as that.
Well,
Well,
No.
but that is something we were talking about earlier. Is it is going to suck a little bit that we're never going to get to see Spider-Man and Deadpool in the same movie together. They're never going to get to have
yes.
that dialogue. They hinted at it in the end credits with cartoon Deadpool doing the little
Yeah.
Spider-Man drop, but
Because
you're never gonna
aren't
get to
those
see
two
them
like
together.
sort of connected in
He
the
has,
comic book world, right?
Deadpool
They
has
really,
a very much a bromance with Spider-Man.
yeah, it's a good thing to call it.
And chimichangas
And
and
Jimmy
at the
chimichangas.
same time.
Sometimes it's a chimichanga in a spider suit.
That is
Sometimes it's a
interesting.
chimichanga filled with spiders. The thing that nightmares are
Reading
made of.
chimichangas again.
Okay, so if you could have the healing factor, but it messed up your face, only
But
your
I
face.
had to look up. I had to look like that.
You had to look in the face only. The rest of your body is fine, just the face.
I feel it would be an improvement. I'm taking it.
Wow, wow.
That's some self-esteem
Yeah,
for you,
no
folks.
doubt. You need to open up a
Healing
can of
factor.
self-esteem and
Healing factor.
True. Oh, true. I don't. Okay, so when you say you feel it would be an improvement, you weren't just talking about your face in general. that the effed up face would be an improvement, because that's what I got.
Wow.
I was like, wow, man,
Wow.
that's really
healing factor would be
you
an
are
improvement.
downing on you, but yeah, okay, yeah, I
I
agree.
wouldn't have to worry about like being
No, yeah,
healthy for
totally,
anything.
Totally.
Very true.
Totally.
Very true.
Now, don't forget your face.
Wouldn't have anxiety
Looks
anymore.
messed up.
Masks.
Yeah, I could deal with it too. I wouldn't even wear a mask.
Nightlife.
I just freak people out. Hey. I don't know.
Star in my own horror
Booga, booga,
movies.
booga, booga.
It'd be great.
I feel like there's
Star in horror
enough.
movies.
I feel like that you could put enough foundation on it to fill in the holes and fill in those cracks.
You know, his
Silly
face was no
putty?
worse than Dolph Lundgren's is normally. So you know, it was kind of.
Yeah, I don't feel like especially in the very
You
end.
want to do 2? We're at 40 minutes now.
Do
you have enough for 2?
I don't have enough for 2.
Yeah, I didn't
we
think
could do
so.
we could do
You
something on
barely
something
had
else.
enough for 1.
I left my notes at home.
We
I left my
finally got
notes
going
at
after a
home.
while. But
Do you want to
yes.
do? We could do. Well, we'll talk about it afterwards. But
Yeah,
yeah. I don't feel like his face was really that messed up at the very end.
At the end, no. It was
Right?
very kind of toned back. But right at the get-go,
yeah.
when he first
It was
comes out the
definitely
pod,
like,
he is
So
jacked
that's one
up.
thing I wondered, because the way they showed it was that just a side effect of the serum and the torture? Because the
think
way they
so,
showed
right?
it,
Yeah.
it looked like he was almost suffering from like a hypoxia, because there was
Right.
blood coming out of his skin,
Well, and I
I thought
think-
it was because of the pressure of the tube
I think
was
that's
doing
what
that
it was.
to him.
I think the pressure of the tube kind of jacked with his skin a whole lot, and then his healing factor kicked in and goes, okay, this is what your skin is supposed to look like. We're going to heal you back
Yeah,
to
because I
that.
thought in
because he
in
was
the-
so damaged before his healing factor actually started working.
Right.
That
That's
was
why,
the normal.
That's why the factor didn't heal him back to being
Because I thought in the
pretty boy.
comics he caught on fire, and it was sort of the same thing, where he burned almost to death, and then that's when his healing factor kicked in.
Right.
So he was always scarred from that
Oh,
original
that would be
fire.
horrible.
But
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, I thought
I've seen
so.
him catch fire a lot of times.
But I'm saying the first time when he was in the Weapon X program, and he there was an explosion or something, he caught on fire, and that's when his healing factor actually kicked in. He had to be so close to death before it.
Well, see, and that's what
started
I'm
or something
saying.
like
Like,
that.
his body goes, all right, you now have a healing factor, but you're completely jacked up. So I'm assuming that that's what you're supposed to be healed back to. You're not being healed back to what you looked like before you got burned.
Well, and that makes me wonder if you were doing the burning thing. Your nerve endings are seared and everything at that point, and probably feeling pain. Would his body heal him back to a state of pain? Or seared nerve endings, like the other guy had, the dead nerves?
To be fair, he didn't seem to really be phased that much by pain to begin with.
Well, but he
so-
did curse and stumble around when he got
Yeah.
shot.
but
he
after all
curses
of
and
the
stumbles around a lot.
torture, I think his body is going to be numbed to pain to a certain extent.
yeah.
And it's also one
in
of those things
extreme
that, like,
circumstances.
It I'm sure it hurts, but you're going to get
Well,
accustomed
and
to that pain.
Wolverine did the
being in
same
his line
thing.
Of business.
He would say, that things hurt. It's
Yeah.
not that he didn't feel it. He said when he could feel his claws every time.
Right.
But obviously you've built up so much scar tissue and stuff because he had them before.
No, he wouldn't scar.
Yeah, but he had the bone claws before he had the
But-
supercharged healing factor.
But it didn't scar over.
That's true. It is true. He never did scar.
God, could you imagine using your bone claws without the healing factor, like every time?
Well,
and then
lot
you
of
pull them back in, and your
and he
hands are
did
just
that.
like, blah.
No, he did
do
that for a while. He lost his healing factor, and he said he had to pop the claws in and out to keep the wounds fresh, to keep them from healing back
And
over.
again,
Oh,
they
no.
did it in the newest Wolverine movie when they stole his healing factor. When they thrashed it down, he put out the claws, and he was bleeding the entire time he was using them. So, yeah, that would be awful.
Yeah, interesting. Some other things.
Still worth it.
If
Totally.
also underneath that realm of Fox, I love the idea of Fox and Sony and Marvel just fighting back and forth. Because if you think about it, Sony was really the first one to put out Spider-Man. Actually, no.
X-Men came
X-Men
first.
came out first, and I could see Marvel's like, oh, we're gonna make some money. Let's give it to Fox, and then they give Spider-Man, and then they're like, oh crap, we should probably. And so they're just
people
waiting
want
to
to
pull
watch these movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're waiting to pull these movies back.
We owe Sony to a degree because they were the first ones to come out and really do it.
I don't owe
So-
Sony crap. Don't
And-
you tell me what I can do.
But and I know Blade was also, but the other one was Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but look what they did to Blade, though. In the end, it was the
True.
first one was okay. The second one was and then we really lost it.
Well,
You really lost it, but that third one showed you that Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds
Reynolds, right.
could
Yeah.
be Deadpool. That he
That's true.
was Deadpool.
Because that was like the first, glimpse
Yeah.
of.
I mean,
ooh.
he broke so many. I'm fascinated by your comment of breaking the fourth wall more because he was like, "Please, just don't make the suit green or animated."
Whatever.
How about right at the get-go where they
Because,
show
I
the
mean,
credits?
to-
and
I know.
Ryan
I'm
Reynolds
I'm not
was
saying
there
he
in the-
didn't
And
do it
yes.
enough. I'm saying I would have liked to seen some different ways of breaking the fourth wall rather than just
As in with
talking
Marvel
to the
DC.
camera.
I think he missed
And-
them. I think he missed
done.
the different ways that
Yeah.
that happened.
I just
Oh,
hate, I
snap,
just hate
snap.
He
everybody
was too busy
on this
taking
podcast.
notes on his
Hate
piece of paper
every
during the movie.
Single one of you.
But yeah,
Stay
Carol
nerdy.
Higgins.
Bye. I just hit the button. Done.
but that's why we got a Fantastic Four movie just recently because they were at the very end. If they did not put a Fantastic Four movie in, Marvel was going to get it back.
Oh, really?
That's the reason why we had that Fantastic
I
Four.
wish
Then they put
Marvel
out the
had
piece
gotten
of
it
crap.
yeah.
back.
What'd you guys think of that last Fantastic
Well, I
Four
think
movie?
they did get it.
It wasn't bad. Did they get it back?
I think the one that they put out did so poorly that the other two looked good in comparison.
I was gonna
You
say,
think it was that poorly?
if
I
you were a
didn't.
true
I thought it
Fantastic Four
wasn't that
fan,
bad.
it was awful.
I didn't
But-
like
Well,
it at all.
That first Fantastic Four movie was way
They couldn't
worse.
have done worse than what they already had.
Silver
to work
Surfer
with.
is the only story that's good in the Fantastic Four world. I mean that storyline. There's not many storylines
I don't
left.
know enough about it, I guess, to really.
Anyways,
The only reason I like Fantastic Four is because they bring Doctor Doom to the table.
true.
And he's an amazing bad guy.
He
Yeah,
is.
this one was yeah. Anyways, okay. We don't have to continue on with Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Screw that.
Right.
That's a whole new podcast.
Hey, you guys! It's been a while since you guys have
One-
been on the podcast. Do
long
you
while.
remember our catchphrase?
No, real quick.
Oh, wait. Wait.
I do have Deadpool videos.
Yes.
What have you guys seen the Deadpool videos? If not, that's
I
okay.
have.
Well,
I have.
What
I
did you think?
loved it.
Do you like it?
I really like it. I'm
It's a
excited
quick
to
way of
see
going
what else
through
you
it.
can do with other
Oh, yeah,
comics
yeah.
as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's been super busy, but with Apocalypse coming up, I'm going to try to do the Age of Apocalypse.
Oh,
Oh
that
my
was
gosh,
great.
that is
a
one
lot.
of that is I know that's a lot, but
Don't
that's
make
one of
promises you
the
can't keep.
best videos, and that's one of our. I mean, those
Yeah,
get
that's
watched
very
a
highly
lot.
rated. Yeah.
So
My thing is Jean Grey going to pull out a bow and shoot someone with an arrow? That's what I want to know.
Wrong person. Jean Grey's the lady from
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Thrones.
Oh,
Katniss.
right.
No, you're
What is Katniss
but
playing? Who's Katniss playing?
I get them mixed up. They
she
look.
plays Mystique.
Yeah.
Mystique.
Oh yeah.
Mystique could pull out a
Oh.
bow and arrow.
By the way, after seeing the preview again today in the movie theater, I am almost 100% confident that Storm is one of the four.
Oh yeah, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
and
We had mentioned that in the previous podcast.
Magneto
That's what-
is, dude. I tear up every
When
time
I
I see.
poop.
Every time
Oh.
I see that, it's like I'm watching Field of Dreams when he's playing catch at the end with his dad. Dude, I tear up. I'm like, dude, that movie is going to be so just enough that I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, hi.
Here's the
Missy,
thing.
there's something in my eyes.
I don't want it to fall into that superhero third movie thing.
What do you mean? Oh, whoa,
X-Men
whoa.
3, Spider-Man 3.
The third superhero movie is
Eh.
not good.
I was not a fan of
This
the
is
they've
third
already
not
gotten that out of
kind
the
of
way.
like that.
Even Iron Man did it. Iron Man 3 was probably.
I
loved
liked Iron Man 3.
I loved
liked
Iron Man.
Iron Man 3 was the worst of the three.
I
It
liked
has
it.
all the
Iron Man
suits.
2 was the worst of the three.
Iron Man 2 is the worst. of the three.
Way worse. Okay, I see with the threes,
Yeah.
The rule of
and I'm
three.
telling you,
It's a rule of
okay,
three
so
superhero
Last
movies.
Stand, did you think Last Stand was worse than the first one?
X-Men: The Last Stand. That movie was horrible.
It's been so
It's
long.
way
since I've
better
seen
than the
those
first
that I
one.
can't-
You were right. The
The
second
one where
was
they
the highlight of that
wait.
series.
So let me get this. The one where they killed Magneto, the one where they killed Jean Grey, the one where everyone died, and Cyclops died off camera.
Yeah.
That one was good.
I'm not saying.
What about Batman 3?
Horrible.
That one was good. What with Bane?
I was
twos
not
are
a fan.
Twos are really good.
First one's
twos
good.
are the highlight.
Twos are the really good one.
Empire's
for most
good.
of the time, and then the three is nah.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know. I don't agree
not
with you.
Empire. I'm
Yeah,
talking
you're
comic
crazy.
book movies.
Yeah.
Let's not bring Star Wars
Yeah,
into this.
let's
Well-
leave the wars out of it for
Polly
now.
won't be back on the podcast, so
Well, it's been fun.
Like Phantom Menace was way better than the rest of them.
I agree. I totally agree.
Kidding.
That's like,
Okay.
obviously, we've gone off the deep end now.
Oh, I can't imagine it being bad, and I don't think it's a true third because it's got
First Class, Days of Future Past.
Yes, but that is a continuation of a bunch of them. It's kind of like 7 or 8.
Kung Fu Panda 3 was
Haven't
a
seen
lot better.
Haven't seen
one
it.
and
Not a
two?
comic book movie.
The other thing is,
It's animated, I'm sure.
the other thing
Yeah.
I don't know if you know is his girlfriend is Siren in the
Really? I didn't
and
know that.
not was that Vanessa? But Siren is Banshee's daughter, and that's his girlfriend in the comics.
I'm just
So they didn't go
excited to
that direction
see
at all,
how
though.
they work Jubilee into any sort of important role. Unless it's the 4th of July.
I'm excited to see
Useless.
Nightcrawler come back.
A what?
I'm excited to see Nightcrawler come back.
I am
Kirk
excited to see Nightcrawler come
Wagner.
back too.
Yeah.
Age of Apocalypse is my favorite series of all time. Apocalypse, I love him. He's the best bad guy on the planet. And it's just going to be awesome. Anyways,
All right,
go ahead.
so hit us up on our website, www.usernamenerd.com. You can write us at comments@usernamenerd.com.
You know what?
You
You
still
can
need the
do.
Find us on
www.
Twitter.
No, you don't.
Twitter
I would
is the
rather
main
you,
one.
follow us at username nerd, and if you're going to comment at Twitter. That's so
Twitter's
much better.
so much faster for us, yeah.
Also, all our podcasts are on YouTube as well.
YouTube.
In our username nerd channel. And if you want to make comments on actual individual
Videos, that'd be great.
on the actual individual episodes, make them there. That's the best
Yes.
way of, rather than overall comments. But
Tell us
that.
how much you think I'm that funny. Just kidding.
Yes.
You can just throw them up there.
And just
can
say the
throw 'em
exact
up
opposite.
anywhere.
That would be great.
Great.
I
I know.
the last time
My
I'm
true
coming back.
fans out there.
And,
will,
I need a
Show
new
the love.
co-host. That's what I need.
No. Do you guys remember our catchphrase?
Incorrect.
We
Override
say it at the
Classy
end of
San Diego.
every single episode. It is not Stay
Where-
Classy San
Then
Diego.
the world is garbage.
It is not that either.
Diego.
You know it. What are you doing?
What?
Off on a
Jerk.
tangent.
I don't know.
Fine. Michael, take us home.
What is this?
So much. Stay nerd.
See you later. Okay, stop. Don't go to the next YouTube video or channel or skip or don't do anything. Real quick, 5 seconds. We have 3 different channels. Please subscribe to them. Username Nerd News, Username Nerd Comics, Username Nerd Games. We have separated them out into 3 ones. Choose all of them or just one to subscribe to. You'd love it. I promise you, we'll give you great content. It'll show up in your feed. You'll love it. Just real quick click. It doesn't take but a few seconds. You'd be awesome. Thank you. I mean, you are really awesome. Thank you.